Amazon's been given permission to trial drone deliveries in the United Kingdom. The online retailer plans to start the delivery service in 2017, next year. It now has the go-ahead from the government to explore how the process will work. I speak to retail expert Kate Hardcastle, joining us live from Leeds. Hello to you, Kate. Thanks for joining us. It seems a little bit like science fiction still to me. Are you looking forward to it?
I'm looking forward to lots of things flying in the sky with my latest DVD. I'm not sure, actually. What I think it shows is that Amazon are really keeping hold of this drive to make sure they are responding to customers' needs as quickly as possible. It made me think back to being in a room of retailers back in the late 90s, talking about this thing called the internet and how it might affect us all and how it might affect the high street. And almost there being this laughing off of, yeah, this thing will never worry us, it won't disturb people, people will always want to buy from shops. And I think we've got to be very careful with actually knocking anything Amazon are doing right now, because I think some of the trials will be the shopping of the future, the deliveries of the future. They're just trying everything right now.
OK, so if you order something on the internet of the future and you then say, oh, yes, I'd like it delivered within the next 30 minutes and it drops into your back garden or whatever, why would you need to go to the shops?
You don't. I mean, that's the thing about the high street, isn't it, right now? It's a very vanilla state of affairs. It's stores that have been there for a long time. Actually, shopping's not as exciting as it was, and it's a very grey existence. And when you've got Amazon offering things like Amazon Prime Day, their biggest ever shopping day a couple of weeks ago, where they were putting brilliant discounts online for the customers, it's very difficult to understand why the consumers would choose our traditional high street. That said, I have seen some wonderful independent businesses who don't have that old-fashioned view of retail actually start to mix things up. You might see them more in market stalls and food markets and in festivals even, but they are out there and they will also make up the high street of the future. What I think this does is to the British retail scene is shake them hopefully by the collar and say you cannot take customers for granted. They are going to look for the best deals wherever they are.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder what they can do in order to attract people. So if you can get something dropped into your back garden, you can try it on, it's perfect, fabulous, you've got it. If it doesn't fit, you can hook it back onto the drone and off it goes again. What can the high street do you think, in order to still try to get people into their frontage? Because they're having to pay for that space, aren't they? If you look at some of the shops on Oxford Street, I can't even begin to imagine how much they pay for their frontage and their square footage. Whereas Amazon have got these massive warehouses in Europe and Dublin or wherever they are, and it costs them a fraction.
Absolutely right. You know, Amazon are trialling all different techniques to get the goods to us as quickly as possible, and they also have the discount prices. They're in an operation zone where it looks like most of their costs and their overheads are very low, and retail have very traditionally high operating costs, which makes them not as competitive. That said, the one thing we know about online retail is that a lot of people have lured the customer in with free delivery, and it's not free. It's actually costing them a lot of money. So all of these trials will have to find their cost somewhere. Now, Amazon have got an interesting way to get around it. They have a subscription fee for some customers at £79 a year, which they're paying for this premium delivery service. What can the high street do to fight back? They have got to use customer service. They've got to use engagement, interaction, and they've got to sell the idea of going in for a social event. You know, they've got to be fun. So the customers that go in who want to shop and enjoy that interaction are only going to go to the stores that deliver that. And I'm afraid anyone else who opens their doors and just expects that customer to walk through is very much taking the situation for granted.
Yeah, I was in Oxford Street yesterday, Kate, and it took me so long to get served. It would have been quicker to get something delivered the day after.
Drop down.
Exactly right. So I hope they're listening, and I hope potentially, you know, we'll see that touchy-feely customer experience, but it's not always my experience. Thanks very much indeed, Kate. Appreciate you taking the time to talk to us on Sky News this afternoon. Thanks a lot. What about you? Let me know what your experience is of high street stores. Would you always still go to the high street because you can try it on in the changing room and you can check it from all angles, and then you either buy or you don't? As I said, my experience yesterday was anything but that. Took forever to get